There is a white and blue jug sitting on the floor of my garage right now, over by the mower. It came from the auto parts store, and it cost me about $13. The label says Blue Def Diesel Exhaust Fluid, and it is made to go into the tank of a diesel truck, not onto anybody's grass. And yet last summer, a tired strip of my backyard here in Ohio, the strip along the fence where the grass always thins out and the clover always moves in, turned a deep green in about 10 days because of what is inside that jug. Now everything in me that stood behind a hardware store counter for 25 years says that should not work. At least that is what I thought too. But it does work, and once I show you why, it will make perfect sense. So stay with me to the end, because whether this greens your lawn or burns brown stripes across, it comes down to one thing, and it is not how much you pour. It is what the sun does to this fluid when it sits on top of the grass, and almost nobody who passes this trick around ever explains it. I'm Larry Mitchell. For 25 years, I ran the lawn and garden counter at our town's hardware store, and I watched every bag and bottle come across that counter. I saw what folks returned, what they bought again, and what actually fixed their yards. These days, I keep my own lawn here in Ohio, and my wife Diane will tell you that lawn is my second marriage. Now, the first time I heard about this, I laughed. There was an Amish farmer who used to come into the store from out east of town, a dairyman with a gray beard and a straw hat, and he bought fence staples and canning lids and not much else. One slow afternoon, he told me some of the dairymen out his way were feeding their pastures with the very same fluid the truck drivers put in their diesel tanks. He was not joking. He said the pasture came back greener than anything from the co-op, and it cost less than half. But he had one rule about it, and he would not budge on it. He only put it down when rain was on the way. I asked him why, and he just smiled and said the sun steals it. It took me years behind that counter to learn what he meant, and I will get to it before we are done, because that one sentence is the entire difference between this working and this failing. First, though, look at your own lawn for a second. If it is pale, if it is thin, if clover keeps creeping in from the edges no matter what you spray, you do not just have a weed problem. You have a hungry lawn, and hungry lawns invite weeds the way an open porch light invites moths. Feeding it right is half the war. The jug in my garage is one cheap way to do that, if you respect it. Now, before we open that jug, let me mention something. This feeding trick is one small piece of a bigger plan, because a green lawn and a weed-free lawn are two different jobs, and I wrote that second job down. It is called Larry's 30-Day Weed Kill Protocol. It is the exact day-by-day system I follow to wipe out clover, crabgrass, dandelions, and the rest in 30 days, and keep them from coming back, written for folks who are tired of fighting the same weeds every single season. 88 pages, no fluff, in the same step-by-step way I talk to you here. It walks you through knowing your enemy, identifying the big 7 lawn killers early, then the kill protocol itself, with the 7-day elimination blitz, my trusted tenacity system, and organic and pet-safe alternatives that work without harsh chemicals, then rebuilding the lawn afterward with the prevention fortress, plus my month-by-month annual weed prevention calendar. It is $17 right now, marked down from $47, which is less than most folks spend on one bottle of weed killer that only treats the symptom. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up. Give it a tap and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time, there is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. All right, the jug is on the workbench. Let's talk about what is actually inside it, because once you know, the mystery falls apart in the best possible way. Diesel exhaust fluid is 2 ingredients. It is about 1/3 urea and about 2/3 purified water. That is the whole recipe, printed right on the technical sheet. And urea is not some truck chemical. Urea is the single most common nitrogen fertilizer on the face of the earth. Farmers from Ohio to Nebraska spread millions of tons of it on corn and wheat every year. Walk into any farm supply store, and you will find it in 50-pound bags, white pellets that look like tiny hailstones, labeled 4600. That means it is 46 parts nitrogen and nothing else. Your grandfather's generation greened up pastures with it. The fancy lawn foods at the garden center, the ones in the bright bags with the mowing stripes on the front, most of them lean on that same urea for their nitrogen. So when that Amish farmer poured diesel fluid on his pasture, he was not doing anything strange at all. He was putting down watered-down urea. He was buying fertilizer from the auto parts aisle instead of the fertilizer aisle. The trucking world just needed urea for a completely different reason, cleaning up diesel exhaust, and they needed it mixed pure and clean, so pure that it works out fine on living grass. That is why this trick should not work, and does. It is not a miracle. It is chemistry hiding under the wrong label. And no, I did not misspeak. The jug for your neighbor's pickup truck and the bag on the farm store pallet are carrying the same working ingredient. Now here is where this connects to weeds, because this is a weed channel. And I promise this is the part that changes how you look at your yard. Think about clover for a second. Ever wonder why clover always shows up in the thin, pale, sad parts of a lawn, and almost never in the thick, dark green parts? It is not luck. Clover is a special kind of plant. It makes its own nitrogen, pulls it right out of the air, which means clover is perfectly happy in starved soil where grass is going hungry. When you see clover spreading across a yard, that clover is telling you something, plain as a note on the door. It is saying this soil is low on nitrogen. Feed the grass, and the grass gets thick and tall and greedy, and it shades the clover out and crowds its roots. Crabgrass works the same way from a different angle. Crabgrass grows from seed every single spring, and those seeds need sunlight hitting bare soil to sprout. A thick, well-fed lawn is a closed canopy, like a forest floor. The sunlight never reaches the dirt, and the crabgrass seed sits there in the dark and gives up. I stood at that counter for 25 years, watching folks buy weed killer after weed killer for lawns that were really just starving. The store made good money on that arrangement, and I never much liked it. The honest answer is that the thickest fertilizer program is also the best weed program. Killing weeds without feeding grass is bailing a boat without patching the hole. So now the question is money, and I am going to give it to you straight because the bag will not. That 2.5-gallon jug of Blue Def runs about $13 to $15 at the auto parts store. Inside it is roughly 3.5 pounds of actual nitrogen. Now walk over to the farm store. A 50-pound bag of plain urea fertilizer runs maybe $25 to $30. And inside that bag is about 23 pounds of nitrogen. Do the arithmetic on a napkin, and the bag wins on price, and it is not close. So why am I standing in my garage holding a jug? A few honest reasons. If you have a small lawn, a 50-pound bag is a 5-year supply that will cake up hard as a brick in your shed by year 2. If you do not own a spreader, the jug needs nothing but a watering can. If you want liquid feeding, spoon feeding a lawn a little at a time instead of one big meal, the jug is already dissolved and ready. And if you live where the farm stores are a long drive, the auto parts store is on every corner. So the jug is not the cheapest nitrogen. It is the most convenient nitrogen. I want you buying it for the right reason, not because a video told you it was magic. And keep the farmer's rain rule in the back of your mind through all of this, because we are getting close to it. And it matters more than everything I have said so far. Now let's mix. Get yourself a 2-gallon watering can, or a pump sprayer if you have one. I will give you the numbers, and then I will repeat them, because they matter. The rate is 20 ounces of Blue Def into 2 gallons of water. That mixture covers 1,000 square feet of lawn. That is 20 ounces, not 21, and 2 full gallons of water, and 1,000 square feet, which for reference is a patch about 20 feet by 50 feet. Measure the fluid with a kitchen measuring cup you keep in the garage, not one that goes back to Diane's kitchen. Pour the water into the can first. Add the 20 ounces of fluid second. Swirl it gently for a few seconds. Then walk your lawn at an even, easy pace, sprinkling as you go, the same way you would water flowers. Take your time and keep moving so no single spot gets a heavy dose. When the can runs dry, refill and mix the same way for the next 1,000 square feet. If your lawn is 5,000 square feet, that is 5 cans. This gives your grass a light, gentle meal, the kind you can repeat in 3 or 4 weeks during the growing season. What you must never do is pour that jug straight from the spout onto grass at full strength. Full-strength urea sitting on a green blade will burn it the same way a whole shaker of salt burns a slug, and the picture on your screen of somebody glugging it straight into the turf is exactly how you get dead black patches by Friday. A few more rules, and I say these as the guy who heard every sad story across that counter, not to scare you. First, this is fertilizer talk, plain and simple, but understand the jug itself is sold for trucks, so the label will never mention grass. If you would rather stay strictly by the book, buy the bagged urea fertilizer at the farm store instead. Same nitrogen, cheaper, and the bag has lawn directions. I respect that choice completely. Second, never mix this fluid with weed killers, soaps, or anything else in the same can. One job per can. Third, do not put it down in the heat of summer when the temperature is pushing past 85 degrees, and never on a lawn that is brown and dormant from drought. Feeding stressed grass is like feeding a man with the flu a steak dinner. Fourth, once the lawn has been watered in and the grass is dry, kids and dogs are fine out there, because urea breaks down into the same nitrogen forms sitting in every lawn in America. Fifth, keep the fluid off your flower beds and vegetable garden, unless you are measuring just as carefully there, and sweep any spills off the driveway. And one more small thing. If you also own a diesel truck, keep a separate jug for the lawn, because trucks need that fluid perfectly clean, and a garage measuring cup is not perfectly clean. Timing across the calendar is simple for those of us with cool season grass, your bluegrasses, ryegrasses, and fescues, which is most of the northern half of the country. Feed when the grass is actively growing and green, which means spring, from about the time the lilacs bloom, and again in early fall, September, into October, which is honestly the best feeding of the whole year. Skip the blazing middle of summer. Mornings are your friend. And now, at last, we are at the part I promised you at the very start. The farmer's rule. The reason the sky matters more than the jug. Here is what the sun steals. Urea, sitting on top of your lawn, does not stay urea for long. There is a natural enzyme on every blade of grass and in the top skin of every soil on Earth. And the moment urea touches it, that enzyme starts converting the urea into ammonia. Ammonia is a gas, and a gas does not soak down to your roots. It floats up, off your lawn, into the sky, gone. In warm, sunny, breezy weather, a big share of the nitrogen you just paid for can escape into thin air within a day or two, and the hotter and drier the surface, the faster it goes. That is why one neighbor swears by this trick and another neighbor calls it junk. They both poured the same fluid. One of them watered it in, and one of them let the sun have it. So the rule is this. Within a few hours of putting it down, that urea needs to be carried below the surface by water, about ½ inch of it, which is a normal lawn watering. ½ inch, either from your sprinkler or from a gentle rain you saw coming on the forecast. Once it is down in the moist soil, the conversion happens where the roots can catch every bit of it, and the burn risk washes away with it. That old Amish farmer never read a soil science bulletin in his life. He just watched his pasture, watched the sky, and figured out in one sentence what the universities took decades to publish. The sun steals it. Water beats the thief. And that right there is the difference between feeding a lawn and burning one. It is also the difference between fighting the same weeds every season and finally being done with them, because thick, fed grass is the wall that keeps them out. And building that wall day by day is exactly what I wrote down in Larry's 30-day weed kill protocol. $17 instead of $47, the full day-by-day plan from the weeds you have right now to a lawn they cannot get back into. It is the one thing on the shelf I would hand you across the counter myself. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So, the short of it. That truck stop jug works on grass because it is mostly urea, the oldest nitrogen fertilizer there is, at 20 ounces in 2 gallons of water per 1,000 square feet, watered in before the sun can steal it. Now tell me in the comments which weed is winning in your yard right now. Clover, crabgrass, dandelions, name it. I read every single one. And next time I am going to show you the kitchen thermometer trick, how a $10 meat thermometer stuck in your flower bed tells you the exact week to put down crabgrass preventer, because the calendar lies and the soil never does. You've got this, neighbor. I'll see you out on the lawn.